every time a new challenge appears or when they see something more enticing on the horizon. No, they remain steady, even when it's difficult, because they know where they're headed. This sense of focus and determination doesn't just set them apart. It makes them a source of stability for others. Consider leaders you've admired. Chances are they had a sense of purpose so vivid that you could feel it just being around them. They saw something they could not ignore. Visionary leaders have an ability to rally others, not by forcing or demanding, but by sharing their vision in such a way that people feel inspired to become part of it. The key here is that their vision is real. It's grounded in their deepest convictions, and they speak about it with sincerity. It's one thing to tell people where to go, but it's another to take them there with genuine passion and faith in the journey. Now, there's something about vision that's often overlooked. It's flexible, but it's not weak. A strong vision can adapt, can weather changes, can bend, but not break. You don't want a vision so rigid that it can't survive the tests of time and circumstance. No, vision is a guiding star, not a fixed map. It keeps you grounded, yet it allows room for growth, for learning, for new understanding. Some of the greatest leaders faced challenges that could have easily shaken their vision. But instead of letting adversity turn them away, they let it refine and strengthen their resolve. A leader with vision sees obstacles as stepping stones, as tools to sharpen and define their path even more clearly. How does one communicate vision to others with clarity and consistency? A leader can't expect others to follow a vision they themselves aren't clear about. When you share your vision, you don't have to make a big speech or have all the answers. You simply need to make it real and relatable. You let people see your passion, your commitment, and your belief. The more sincerely you can convey your vision, the more others will feel a natural draw to it. Vision without authenticity falls flat, but vision that's rooted in real belief, that is what moves people. That is what makes people say, I want to be part of this. Vision, ultimately, is an invitation. It's an invitation for others to see something greater, to move towards something meaningful. When you cultivate vision, you're not just imagining a future. You're defining it. You're breathing life into it. And those around you, when they see that vision in you, are inspired to reach beyond themselves, to imagine what could be rather than what is. That's the magic of vision. It lifts people up, gives them something to strive toward, and transforms ordinary actions into something extraordinary. A leader with vision doesn't need to push people. Their vision itself becomes the pull, the force that naturally brings others along. Next, the second trait we find in real leaders is integrity. Now, integrity isn't just about telling the truth or doing the right thing. It's about living in a way that's true to your values and your word, day in and day out. Integrity builds trust, and trust is the bedrock of any meaningful relationship or team. A leader with integrity commands respect, not because they demand it, but because their actions consistently align with their values. They're steady, dependable, and their character speaks louder than any promises or plans they could make. Integrity, at its core, is wholeness. It's a unity between what you believe, what you say, and what you do. Now, if you observe, people are often watching leaders closely. They're looking to see if there's a gap between their words and actions, if there's a crack in the foundation. A leader with integrity doesn't have to be perfect, but they do need to be consistent. And they need to live by a standard that isn't swayed by convenience, pressure, or personal gain. Integrity is an anchor in a world of constant change, and it's a trait that once earned makes a leader someone others naturally want to follow. How does one build integrity? You might think it's about big decisions or heroic actions, but really, integrity is built in the small, everyday moments. It's choosing honesty, even when it's uncomfortable. It's following through on commitments, even when it's inconvenient. A leader with integrity keeps their word. And here's the real test. They keep their word to themselves. They honor their commitments, not just to others, but to their own principles and goals. This kind of personal accountability is rare, but it's the foundation of real integrity. Integrity demands that you take a good look at yourself, your values, your weaknesses, your intentions, and decide to live in alignment with what you truly believe in. It's not about avoiding mistakes or setbacks, because everyone encounters those. Instead, it's about taking responsibility when they happen, learning from them, and being transparent. A leader with integrity doesn't hide mistakes. They own up to them. They use them as learning experiences, and in doing so, they show others that it's okay to be human, to grow, and to learn. This openness fosters an environment of trust where people feel safe to be themselves and to be honest. Integrity is also about consistency over time. It's easy to show integrity once or twice, but true leadership integrity is revealed in the long term, in how you handle challenges, temptations, and the tests of life. When things are going well, integrity might seem simple. But when things get tough, when the stakes are high, that's when real integrity shines through. A leader with integrity is the same person, whether they're speaking to a room full of people or having a one-on-one conversation. They don't play favorites or change based on who they're around or what they stand to gain. This kind of consistency builds a foundation of trust that can carry teams, families, and organizations through the toughest storms. Another critical aspect of integrity is humility. It might seem surprising, but humility and integrity are deeply connected. A leader with integrity understands that they don't have all the answers, and they're willing to admit it. They know their limitations and are open to learning from others. This humility creates a safe space for people to speak up, to offer ideas, and to contribute. Integrity without humility can quickly turn into arrogance. But when paired with humility, it becomes a powerful force for good. And the impact of integrity on others is so important. When people see a leader with integrity, they feel a sense of security. They know that what they're being told is the truth, that they're not being manipulated or deceived. This trust frees people to focus on their work, their growth, and their contributions, rather than second-guessing motives or intentions. They know that their leader has their best interests at heart and that they're working toward a shared goal with honesty and clarity. Integrity in this way becomes contagious. It sets a standard that inspires others to live with the same level of honesty and accountability. One of the most beautiful things about integrity is that it doesn't demand attention. It's a quiet strength, a silent assurance that others feel without needing to be told. Integrity builds credibility, and credibility is what makes a leader's voice heard and respected. When you speak with integrity, people listen, not just because of what you're saying, but because they know you believe in it. They know you stand by your words and that those words mean something. This kind of influence isn't bought or manufactured. It's earned one action at a time through a consistent commitment to living in alignment with one's values. Integrity may not always be easy, but it is simple. It requires you to choose the path that aligns with your principles, regardless of the consequences. And over time, this consistent choice creates legacy, a reputation that others come to depend on. This is the power of integrity. It builds a foundation for leadership that endures. A leader with integrity is not just effective, they're respected, trusted, and ultimately followed. Their influence reaches beyond titles or authority. It touches the lives of others in a way that is meaningful and lasting. Next, the third trait we find in impactful leaders is courage. Courage is the fuel that allows a leader to take risks, make difficult decisions, and stand by their principles, even when it's uncomfortable. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the determination to act in spite of it. Leaders with courage are the ones who step forward when others hold back. They face the unknown, they confront challenges, and they do so with a resolve that others draw strength from. In many ways, courage is the lifeblood of leadership, because without it, even the best intentions and the clearest vision can remain unrealized. Developing courage is a gradual process. It's not something you're born with. It's something you cultivate through small acts of bravery every day. You don't need to wait for a major crisis to act with courage. Courage can start with something as simple as speaking up when it's easier to stay silent, or making a choice that aligns with your values, even if it's unpopular. You see, a leader with courage doesn't avoid tough situations. They step into them, knowing that each challenge is a chance to grow stronger, more resilient, and more capable. A leader's courage is particularly powerful because it's not just about self-preservation or personal gain. It's about taking action for the greater good, even when there's a personal risk involved. Leaders with courage don't make decisions based on what's easy or comfortable. They choose what's right, even if it's costly. Courage in leadership means making sacrifices, enduring criticism, and sometimes even failing publicly, all in the name of progress and principle. And here's the remarkable part. When people see this kind of courage, they're inspired to find courage within themselves. Courage is contagious. It gives others permission to push past their own fears and limitations. Consider the many ways courage appears in leadership. Sometimes it's as subtle as making a tough decision that no one else wants to make. Other times, it's as visible as standing up for a principle when everyone else is willing to compromise. One thing is certain: courage in a leader builds credibility. When people see that you're willing to put yourself on the line for what you believe in, they begin to trust you at a deeper level. They know that you're not just leading from a safe distance, but are fully invested in the mission, ready to face the same risks they are. This kind of courage builds loyalty and unity within a team or organization. People feel safe taking their own risks when they know they have a leader who understands the value of courage. Another dimension of courage is the willingness to face personal vulnerability. Now, this isn't always easy, especially in leadership roles where there's pressure to appear strong, capable, and in control. But here's what I've learned. Real strength doesn't come from avoiding vulnerability. It comes from embracing it. Leaders who are willing to admit when they're uncertain, to show humility, and to ask for help demonstrate a special kind of courage. This willingness to be human, to be real, builds an atmosphere of trust where others feel they can be honest and open too. Leaders with courage are also willing to take calculated risks. This doesn't mean they're reckless. It means they have a keen understanding of both the potential rewards and the possible downsides. And they move forward with confidence because they know the risk is worth the pursuit of something greater. Courage allows a leader to break free from the status quo, to challenge what's familiar, and to step into the unknown in pursuit of a better outcome. Often it's courage that leads to innovation, to breakthroughs, and to progress. Without courage, a leader might get stuck in playing it safe, which can stifle creativity and hold back the entire group. Courage also gives a leader the strength to face criticism. And I can tell you, any leader who's making real strides will encounter criticism. The courageous leader doesn't let criticism derail them. They're willing to listen, to assess if there's something to learn, but they don't allow it to pull them away from their course. They have the courage to stand firm in their beliefs, to keep moving forward, even if the path is lonely at times. People watch this resilience, this ability to keep going despite setbacks, and it inspires them. They see a leader who can take a punch without giving up, who can face rejection without losing heart, and they think, if they can do it, maybe I can too. Now, here's an often overlooked aspect of courage. It doesn't always have to be bold or dramatic. Sometimes courage is quiet. Sometimes it's as simple as the resolve to get back up after a failure, to keep going when things are tough, to hold steady in the face of uncertainty. This quiet courage is what sustains a leader over the long term. It's the courage to endure, to persist, and to be patient as things unfold. In a world where everything seems to demand instant results, quiet courage reminds us that some things take time, that growth is gradual, and that progress is often unseen until it suddenly becomes visible. When a leader embodies courage, they set a powerful example. They show that leadership isn't about avoiding risk or staying safe. It's about being brave enough to step forward, to face challenges head on, and to keep moving toward a goal no matter how difficult. This kind of courage draws people in. It makes others believe that with a little courage of their own, they too can face their fears and overcome the obstacles in their path. Courage in a leader isn't just inspiring, it's empowering. It reminds everyone around them that they too have the capacity to be brave, to take risks, and to grow through their struggles. Courage, then, is the fire that fuels every other leadership trait. It's what turns vision into reality, what allows integrity to stand firm, and what builds the trust that brings people together. Courage doesn't make things easy, but it makes them possible. And that is why courage is at the heart of any leader worth following. Next, the fourth trait of a true leader is empathy. Now, empathy might not sound like a power trait, but it is. Empathy gives a leader the ability to connect, to understand, and to truly see the people they're leading. Leaders with empathy don't just manage tasks, they build relationships. They create an environment where people feel valued, understood, and motivated to bring their best selves to the table. You see, empathy bridges the gap between people, dissolving the barriers that can often keep teams from reaching their full potential. Empathy starts with listening. Not just hearing words, but listening deeply to understand what's being said and, sometimes more importantly, what's not being said. When a leader listens with empathy, they go beyond surface-level conversations. They pay attention to tone, body language, and emotions. This level of attentiveness shows people that they matter. And here's the thing. People want to be understood. They want to know that their leader cares, that their experiences and perspectives are valued. A leader who listens in this way builds trust naturally, without force, because people feel safe opening up, knowing that they'll be met with respect and understanding. Empathy also means being able to put yourself in someone else's shoes. It's about seeing things from their perspective, understanding their challenges, their strengths, and their motivations. This skill is invaluable because it allows a leader to connect with others on a level that goes beyond titles or roles. When a leader can relate to others, they break down the us versus them mentality that sometimes exists between leaders and their teams. This shared understanding creates unity, a sense that we're all in this together. People are far more likely to be engaged and loyal when they feel connected to their leader on a personal level. Now, empathy isn't about lowering standards or excusing poor performance. It's about understanding the reasons behind someone's actions and using that insight to lead more effectively. A leader with empathy recognizes when someone is struggling and seeks to understand why. They don't jump to conclusions or make harsh judgments. They approach situations with curiosity and compassion. This doesn't mean avoiding accountability. Instead, it means approaching accountability with a balance of understanding and firmness. When a leader can balance empathy with accountability, they create a space where people feel supported, yet challenged to grow. Empathy also makes a leader approachable. When people know they can come to you with their concerns, ideas, or challenges without fear of judgment, it opens up lines of communication that can lead to powerful insights and innovative solutions. Sometimes, the best ideas come from people who feel safe sharing them, and a leader's empathy is often the reason those doors open. Empathy creates a culture where people aren't afraid to speak up, take risks, and even make mistakes because they know their leader will respond with understanding. This culture of openness is a breeding ground for creativity, trust, and teamwork. Empathy goes hand in hand with patience. Leaders with empathy understand that everyone grows at their own pace, that not everyone learns the same way, and that everyone brings a unique set of experiences to the table. Instead of imposing a rigid standard on everyone, they take the time to understand each individual's strengths, weaknesses, and potential. This patience doesn't mean lowering expectations. It means recognizing that growth is a process and that people are far more likely to reach their potential in an environment that respects who they are as individuals. Empathy also extends beyond the people directly in your circle. It involves understanding the broader impact of your decisions and actions. Leaders with empathy consider how their choices affect not only their immediate team, but also the wider community, the families of their employees, and even the world around them. They take a holistic view, recognizing that their influence reaches far beyond the confines of their role. This kind of empathy creates a deep sense of responsibility and a commitment to making choices that uplift rather than harm those who are affected by them. A leader who shows empathy is also able to build resilience within their team. When people know they are valued for more than just their output, they're more likely to stay engaged and committed, even in challenging times. Empathy strengthens loyalty and morale, creating a solid foundation for a team that can weather difficult situations. In times of stress, a leader's empathy acts as a calming presence, reminding everyone that they're not alone, that they're in it together, and that they have someone who genuinely cares about their well-being. One of the most powerful aspects of empathy is that it allows a leader to see potential where others might only see shortcomings. Instead of focusing solely on a person's current performance, a leader with empathy looks at who they are becoming. They see the potential for growth and improvement, and they invest in helping people realize that potential. This forward-looking approach inspires others to believe in themselves and to strive toward becoming their best. When someone feels seen and valued for who they are, they're far more likely to put in the effort to grow and improve. Empathy is the foundation of a healthy, positive culture. It's what makes people feel like they belong, like they're part of something meaningful. A leader with empathy doesn't see people as resources to be used, but as individuals to be supported and empowered. And here's the beauty of it. When people feel valued and understood, they naturally give more, not because they're forced to, but because they want to. They want to contribute, to succeed, and to give back to a team that respects them. Empathy, in the end, is about understanding the heart of leadership. It's about connecting with others in a way that inspires trust, loyalty, and mutual respect. Leaders with empathy are the ones who leave a lasting impact because they touch lives in a meaningful way. They lift others up. They create environments where people feel safe to grow, and they make people feel valued, not just for what they can do, but for who they are. This is the power of empathy. It's not a weakness, but a strength that creates bonds, builds teams, and fosters a culture where everyone feels empowered to reach their full potential. Next, the fifth and final trait we find in extraordinary leaders is discipline. Discipline is the backbone of sustained success. It's the trait that keeps a leader consistent, reliable, and focused over the long haul. Discipline means having control over your own behavior and making the right choices consistently, even when it's hard, even when it's tedious, and especially when no one is watching. Leaders with discipline don't rely on motivation or fleeting inspiration. They rely on habits, on routines, on the power of doing what needs to be done day after day, regardless of how they feel in the moment. Discipline starts with self-control, with the ability to set aside distractions and keep one's focus on the task at hand. It's about making the decision, time and again, to prioritize long-term gains over immediate comfort. A leader with discipline understands that true progress takes time, that lasting success is built step by step, and that shortcuts often lead to setbacks. They resist the temptation to rush the process, knowing that steady, consistent effort is what ultimately yields results. This kind of discipline is inspiring because it shows others that persistence and patience pay off, that excellence isn't a quick fix, but a daily practice. Leaders with discipline don't just talk about commitment, they live it. They follow through on their promises, meet their deadlines, and hold themselves to the same high standards they expect from others. This kind of consistency builds trust because people know they can depend on a disciplined leader. When challenges arise, a leader with discipline remains steady. They don't waver or panic. They stay focused on the goal and keep moving forward one step at a time. This steadiness, this reliability, gives others a sense of security, a confidence that their leader won't give up or get distracted. Discipline also means taking responsibility for one's actions. It's the ability to hold oneself accountable, to be honest about one's own shortcomings, and to commit to improvement. A disciplined leader doesn't make excuses or shift blame when things go wrong. They own their mistakes, learn from them, and work to do better. This kind of accountability is rare, but it sets a powerful example. It shows others that real leadership isn't about perfection. It's about growth, about a continuous process of becoming better, of refining oneself, of sticking to principles even when it's difficult. One of the most essential aspects of discipline is time management. Leaders with discipline know that time is one of their most valuable resources. They don't waste it on unproductive activities or allow themselves to be constantly sidetracked. Instead, they allocate their time thoughtfully, setting aside blocks for focused work, for strategic planning, and for personal growth. They understand that to lead others effectively, they first need to manage themselves efficiently. A disciplined leader respects their own time and, as a result, respects the time of those they lead. This respect for time creates a culture of productivity and focus, where people are encouraged to be intentional with their efforts. Discipline also means having the courage to say no. This is crucial because leaders are often faced with endless demands on their time, energy, and attention. A disciplined leader knows their limits and is willing to say no to requests or opportunities that don't align with their goals or values. This ability to prioritize, to focus on what matters most, prevents them from being stretched too thin or distracted from their core mission. When a leader sets boundaries, they not only protect their own well-being, but also set an example for others, encouraging them to be mindful of their own priorities. Discipline, however, isn't about rigidity. It's about flexibility within a framework. A disciplined leader isn't closed off to new ideas or unwilling to change course when necessary. Instead, they use discipline to stay grounded, to evaluate each opportunity or challenge with a clear mind, and to make adjustments as needed. They know that discipline is what allows them to pivot effectively without losing sight of their goals or values. This balance of flexibility and structure is what keeps a disciplined leader adaptable in a constantly changing environment. They're not derailed by sudden shifts or surprises. They adjust, refocus, and keep moving forward. A disciplined leader also knows the importance of self-care. They understand that to maintain their energy and effectiveness, they need to take care of their physical, mental, and emotional well-being. Discipline extends to rest, to rejuvenation, and to the practices that keep a leader sharp and resilient. This kind of balance prevents burnout and enables leaders to sustain their efforts over the long term. By prioritizing their own well-being, disciplined leaders also encourage those around them to take care of themselves, creating a culture of health and balance. Discipline may not be the most glamorous trait, but it's one of the most impactful. It's the quiet force that keeps a leader grounded, focused, and consistent, even in the face of challenges. Discipline allows a leader to build momentum, to turn small efforts into substantial achievements over time. It's what transforms vision into reality, what turns ideas into actions, and what turns actions into results. A leader with discipline doesn't need to rely on luck or chance. They create their own success through the consistent application of effort, through persistence, and through an unwavering commitment to excellence. Discipline is what keeps a leader aligned with their values, no matter the distractions or temptations that arise. It's the inner strength to stay the course, to keep moving forward, and to hold oneself to a higher standard. A disciplined leader doesn't just inspire others with words. They inspire them with action, with a living example of what it means to commit to something meaningful and to see it through no matter what. In the end, discipline is the trait that turns potential into reality. It's the daily choices, the small habits, the quiet dedication that compound over time to create lasting success. And this, in essence, is what makes a disciplined leader so powerful. They're not just a source of inspiration. They're a model of what's possible through commitment, focus, and consistent action. People see this and think, if they can do it, maybe I can too. And in this way, a disciplined leader doesn't just lead by example. They lead by invitation, inspiring others to develop the same inner strength and dedication in their own lives. With these 5 traits, we have the full picture of what it means to lead with substance, to lead in a way that inspires trust, loyalty, and progress. When these traits come together, they form a leader who isn't just effective, but memorable, who doesn't just direct people, but truly uplifts them. These traits don't just make a leader someone people respect. They make them someone people believe in. But here's something to remember. These traits are not fixed. They're not characteristics that you either have or don't have. They're qualities you can cultivate and strengthen over time. They grow with practice, with reflection, and with the willingness to adapt. Leadership at its heart is a journey, not a destination. And as you embrace each of these traits, you'll find that they build on each other, each one supporting and reinforcing the others. Vision gives you a sense of direction. Integrity keeps you anchored to your values. Courage pushes you to act on what you believe. Empathy connects you to the people you're leading. And discipline ensures you stay on course. Together, these traits make you the kind of leader who not only reaches their goals, but brings others along on the journey, creating a ripple effect of growth and inspiration. Remember, these traits are available to anyone willing to do the work. They're not reserved for a chosen few, but are open to those who choose them. These traits are the foundation upon which you can build a legacy. And with each small step you take, each decision you make, and each commitment you honor, you strengthen not only your leadership, but also the lives of those who choose to walk beside you.